beautiful Ashland, Oregon. I am Pleiadian Emissary of Light, Caroline Ra. Thank you all for joining with us today. Welcome to Spirit of the Dawn. When I first began researching my guest today, Erika Buenaflor, I was struck by her vibrancy, her generosity, the love and wisdom that emanated from her, and her brilliance as a multi-generational healer in the curanderismo tradition. I wanted to jump into her colorful world and learn new techniques for connecting with spirit, moving energy, healing people and spaces. And then I realized that to become so bright a light, Erika must have gone through something very difficult and very challenging. And there it was in her bio, a catastrophic accident that left her in a wheelchair for almost a year and caused her to dig deep down into her essence as a healer and as a curandera, to heal herself. Erika and I will be discussing her journey that led her in a new and authentic direction in her recently released first book, Cleansing Rites of Curanderismo, Limpias, Espirituales, of ancient Mesoamerican shamans. Her book details the history of Mesoamerican shamanism and teaches us how to employ the methods of curanderismo to clear, heal, and revitalize. Erika has a way of bringing everything to life with tremendous vitality and joy. I am delighted to welcome to Spirit of the Dawn, Erika Buenaflor. Erika, thank you so much for joining with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Caroline. I'm really, really grateful. I'm really excited about right now, today.
Wonderful, wonderful. So am I. Erika, there's the pre-accident Erika and the post-accident Erika, and you needed all the pre-accident stuff to become the post-accident Erika. Please, what was your life like before your accident?
Well, before my accident, it was really interesting because there was a certain indication that I knew that something was going to be happening. I knew that something was going to be. I was still very much on the path. I had been a mentor as a curandera for about 7 years at that point. So I had been working already with with another curandera and a curandero, and also other healers as well. So I was living two lives though, very much. I was an attorney, and then I was a curandera mentee, and I was teaching some classes here and there. I was seeing people here and there, but I was kind of like dipping my toe, so to speak, here and there, and the universe was like, come on. So I was very much treating my practice as a hobby. I think that was the big distinction. I was treating it as a hobby. I wasn't treating it as something that I am, and I knew it was something that was very much a part of me, something that's a part of my heart, something that I love. It's just something that I've always been doing intuitively, and always been guided to. And I think a part of me was trying to find a way at that time. So I knew I couldn't shut it off anymore. So I think for a little while, it was like kind of like shut off. And then it was like waking up and it was like, oh, okay, how am I going to work with this? It's like, it was just turning on. And so when my accident happened, all that is just, I just forced myself, basically everything that was also joined me too, and forced me to slow down.
Definitely. Okay. Your accident's amazing. It's really amazing. Certainly not actually probably an accident. Now, can you tell us, please share with us what actually happened?
Well, it was really interesting because prior to that point, I had a group of girlfriends that we used to go around the world and travel to different places, and we would activate crystalline grids in the Earth's grids. And, and we went to Kauai, we went to Sedona, different places. And we worked with the Earth's grids to heal her, to help cleanse her. And I had a dream I was going to be going to work for a work convention to go to Red Rock Canyon over to Vegas. And I had a calling to go to the Red Rock Canyons and work with that area. And I saw a grid there, a grid system that really needed some clearing. And that morning when I woke up from the dream, I also had another vision. I had I had a plate in my hand and I had a cup. I was walking to the kitchen. I was getting ready for work, and I saw a vision of myself in a wheelchair.
Wow.
And I knew that was going to be me. I knew it.
Wow.
I knew that was going to be me. And I got down, I dropped all my plates. I just got down on my knees. I was like, God, please, no, like that, not like that, please. But I knew that was going to be me. I knew that was going to be happening. And it was very interesting because I waited until the very last day before I was going to leave to go to the Red Rock Canyon. And when I went, I had just an amazing experience. I felt like minutes went, maybe 15, 20 minutes went by. Didn't feel like that long, but hours went by. And I looked at my clock, my phone, and I just said, "Oh my God, I'm going to be late. I'm going to miss my flight." So I jumped up and I didn't ground myself.
Wow.
From a very deep, deep journey. Because I was going into the grids, I was clearing things. I journeyed and I worked with the earth, and I jumped up and I didn't ground myself, and that resulted in my fall.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah. And I had just some amazing experiences because I had one. I remember this too, and the memories were coming back to me when I was in the hospital too, because I remember one point, and I was saying things from, like, example from the Bible that I had never really read until I actually got a master's, and I taught a class on introduction to the Bible, and it was secular. It wasn't like a religious kind of course. It was a secular understanding of the history and the development of the Bible. And I remember when I was I remember seeing myself in one dream, and I remember looking up and seeing this gentleman who looked like a Native American person, but he didn't have the face of a person. And I just was like, but it wasn't scary. It wasn't scary. And he didn't speak to me, but I remember knowing that he was doing something. He was adjusting me so I wouldn't hit my neck. Because it was very interesting. I had a skull fracture, a brain hemorrhage, and my left SC dislocated. So it turned in such a way, and my vertebrae is fractured, but I didn't hurt my neck. I didn't hurt my vertebrae. So I didn't, because I could have wound up paralyzed, and I remember falling, and I remember in one dream that I had, that I went through this trident, and I wound up, and I was in this table, and this beings it wasn't scary. It was all beautiful. I felt just really beautiful and just caressed and light, right? And all these beings were around me, and they were looking at me, and they told me that my contract was complete. They said, your contract isn't complete. You're done if you like, And I remember, and I distinctly remember this part. It was like going in and out of consciousness too. And I remember this part too. Like I was having flashes of what had happened. And I remember, and I got up and I said, "Oh no, I'm not done. I just begun." And that is when I remember being being airlifted out by a helicopter.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
From the side of it's a cliff, right?
Yeah, it was a canyon. It was a canyon. Yeah. The doctors estimated it was at least over 30 feet, just because the bones came out of my heel, from the impact.
Oh yeah, you broke a lot of bones. Erika, what was going on with you? Did you feel sorry for yourself, or were you power woman? Where did you go with it? I mean, I'm so impressed with you, and it's like, oh wow, what on all the different levels, what were you thinking and experiencing?
I remember the first day, it was like the first day or two. It was like I realized that I had to step into my power because I was getting a lot of dire diagnosis throughout the days and weeks too. Not just those days too, but I remember just continuously knowing that I had to step into my power and choose my reality. Because if I didn't choose, I was going to wind up handicapped the rest of my life. Or I was going to be in pain because they told me I wasn't going to be able to walk again. I'd be in pain the rest of my life. And I just remember thinking to myself, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Wow, it's such a wonderful story, and it's your story. It's a beautiful one, and it's inspirational, and it's. I think all of us have had some sort of challenge, but you really chose. You chose a really, one that everyone would notice. Okay, well that sounds like you though. And now you need to apply your healing gifts and on yourself. And what was that like? Who was helping you, and how did you do this?
It was a really interesting process because it was a lot of trusting. It was a lot of trusting, and I knew a lot of the things. My mentors taught me a lot of things at that point. So I knew how to work with acupressure points because I worked with a sobadera who they work with their hands. It's not massage. It's like a shaman doing a massage on you because it's an energy clearing, and it's acupressure points and working with you and clearing traumas from your physical and cellular body, all of your subtle bodies, right? Your energetic bodies. So I knew how to use acupressure points, and I knew what herbs to use to help to manage the pain, to make sure my muscles wouldn't go into atrophy, and also to really allow myself to trust my intuition. Because at that point I became a beacon for. I mean, I became a beacon of like, I was getting flooded with dreams, and all these, angels and masters started coming to me and telling me, and other shamans were working with me, working me and teaching me. And it was really, and I was stubborn. I was still stubborn in that process. It was really interesting because because I was making oils too for myself, oils to help to massage and clear my pain. Cause cause there were times where I would put my feet down, couldn't be down for a long time. My feet would be like potatoes. It's like I was making a lot of oils too, to make sure that even when I did start walking, that I would be okay. Cause I didn't walk for almost a year, so when I was making one of the oils, I remember I was working, and I was told that, and I was making this blend, and I was told that I had to put honey in an oil. And I had a reaction. I said, I'm not putting honey in an oil. That's ridiculous, And it was really funny because it was a long time ago. I'm not that stubborn anymore. And it was really interesting because I went to one of my mentors, Malina, who was my second set of mentors. And I think at that time she was like, yeah, she had it kind of up to here kind of with me because I was still stubborn at that point. And this is after my act, like I was already walking and everything. And she told me, she's like, I'm going to send you to Don Fernando. This is all, so I went to Don Fernando, who was one of my other mentors, and he had me do a limpia. And he said, okay, after you do the limpia, put honey all over yourself. And I was like, wait, what? Honey? And he said, yes, honey. And then it came to me. And then I said, so what did I did? And I asked him, so what is this thing with honey? And he started telling me, he's like, well, that's actually a tradition for mine, have been used for hundreds of years. In ceremonies, we leave offerings of honey, and it clears away and it brings in good fortune. And then that's when I got chills all over my body. And I said, oh, that's why. And I heard in my back of my mind, the land of milk and honey. And I just thought to myself, oh. So I went and I put honey in the oil.
Okay. That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
Yeah, so it was a combination of physical teachers and my dream teachers and intuitive guidance.
Now, when you work with the plants, are you also working with the spirit of the plants?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Definitely.
There's so much I want to ask you and talk about. There's something other than you being rather stubborn and ridiculously joyful person. You are also a scholar. You are a scholar, and that is something you cannot get away from. You really do have a scholarly interest, and scholars want information. They want knowledge. They want to know things. They want to collect knowledge. And that runs through you very deeply, which is how you were able to write this beautiful book. Tell us about the scholar in you.
Well, the scholar in me. Okay, those, and the spiritual and the scholar, they're very much intertwined, of course, right? I knew I was on the right path when I had one of my first classes at UCLA in Chicano Studies. And I was taking it, and one of my professors brought a map of Tenochtitlan, which was the capital of the Mexica, the Aztec that I focus on in my book. It's one of the principal groups that I focus on in my group. And he passed it around, and he didn't say anything about the map. He said, okay, class, look at the map and tell me what you can tell me about the people, just by the map. And something happened, Caroline, where I had a flash of white light in my third eye went on, and I remembered why we put plants in certain areas. I remembered that this was the calendar. Because I was looking at the calendar as the map. I was remembering why we put buildings in certain areas and why they were aligned with the planets. I started remembering glyphs. It was like, and I was like, and this has never happened to me in my life. I was like, okay, what just happened? What just happened here? And I wanted to know. So it was a part of me that I wanted to understand me. And there was a part of me too that I want, and there was various levels too, because, in Mexico, although, you have De Rivera and you have all these beautiful murals that really, really have this quintessential ideas of indigenous people. In reality, they're not very, they're not treated very well. Mm. It's something that it's an idea, like we have this great past, but you go to the people themselves, they don't live very well. So I saw this growing up too. When I would go to the border, I saw a lot of the Tarahumara Indians, begging at the border, and I saw this disconnect. That those are those people that are backwards kind of thing. Kind of like identified by some other people that way, and it was a part of me too. And also when I came here to this country, I was told it's like I couldn't be Mexican. Now it's okay. Now it's like speaking Spanish is a good thing, but back then it wasn't. It was still early on, So it was a part of soul retrieval too, it's been part of like getting pieces of myself, understanding our history, understanding where we came from, and also sharing that information. Because there are so many, and when I do my book signing, 80% of the people, it's the Latinx population, and they're just thanking me they're crying. They're like in tears and thanking me for presenting their history, our history, because they're just like, it's been lost, and presenting it in a way that isn't just about, about the darkness or things about like the sacrifice. Cause I'm like, we did a lot of other things in that, and that was one part of a government doing something that not everybody agreed with, It's like saying the US, like we're all responsible for what certain parts of the government are doing around the world. Not all Americans are like that. We're not. So it's.
I totally understand. Totally.
Yeah.
This is all fascinating. The curanderismo tradition is eclectic. You have taught me that. What does it encompass?
So curanderismo, it is it's very eclectic in the sense that it has Catholic beliefs, philosophies, and Christian as well, because it's Judeo-Christian. When I say Christian, Judeo-Christian, because there are a lot of there's a lot of Jewish. Actually, we integrated a lot of Jewish because there were a lot of Jewish people when they came and they settled in Mexico too. So we have a lot of those traditions as well. It has Caribbean. It has Moorish practices. We have some African influences, and at its core, curanderismo, its roots are from the indigenous peoples of the Americas.
And would that include North America also? And I mean, well, Mexico's North America, but I mean more. Oh, I live in Oregon. Would it include other areas of?
Yes.
It does. Yes. Okay.
Yes, definitely. So I didn't mention. So when I say indigenous peoples, yes, I definitely include them as well. Definitely.
Wow.
There's and Carl Taub, who's one of my professors at UCR, he writes a lot about a lot of the similarities in the Olmec and the Teotihuacan and the Pueblo Indians. It's just, and you see a lot of. I mean, they're different. You can't say it's all the same, of course, because that would be essentializing them. But you can see some underlying belief systems there. You can trace some stories there and some understanding there. So yes, we definitely have learned from one another.
That's beautiful. As a healer myself, I was just so into all the things that you're teaching and bringing forth, because it touches me that there's a part of me I haven't been really paying attention to also. And I had mentioned to you earlier that I'm excited about all of this on a very deep, but on a personal level also. Okay. Now, you're going to have to help me. I would love to start working with some of the information that's in the book. And you're going to need to define and help me with understanding pláticas.
Pláticas. So pláticas, they're heart-straightening talks. And it comes from a tradition that the understanding that when we're sharing a story that has some heavy energy, maybe there was something that happened that was difficult, that when the shaman or the curandera or the curandero is speaking with the person, they're holding space to transmute that energy, to clear that energy. And we always do that. We're just not always cognizant that we're doing that. It's like, a lot of people, and I shared the story, the other day. It was really, really sweet. I had a client about a month ago share with me. She said, Erika, I'm going to have to get new friends. And I said, oh my goodness, why, honey? Why are you going to have to get new friends? And she said, because they're always dumping on me. Everyone's always dumping on me. And then afterwards, they dump on me, and then I feel tired afterwards. And I said, honey, instead of thinking about getting new friends, why don't you ask them? It's like, I'd love to help you. Would you consider maybe treating me for a massage as I help you clear this energy? Because that's what you're doing for them. You're clearing, and sometimes we do that for our family members, and we're clearing that energy. And it's really important that we're aware that we're clearing that energy, so we can do something afterwards to clear ourselves from that energy. So
yes. It's very important. So many healers just collect everyone's stuff, and they feel exhausted. They become ill, and they haven't learned what they need to be doing with that energy.
Correct. Yes.
It's very important. Yeah. So,
sorry,
go on. No, I want to keep hearing what you have to say. Please go ahead.
So I was just going to share that the pláticas, it's drawn from a tradition. It's really interesting. The Maya and the Mexica, like, for example, if there was a plague or famine or something was wrong, they would have all the people get out on the street and start doing pláticas. And the shaman would come around and cleanse everybody, because they thought that was going to help clear, and they believe that's what they would write down, that it was going to clear any of the famines, anything that would happen that would disturb it. They also did this cyclically too for their calendars. For the Feast of Toshkaro, that's what they did. They had everybody in the whole entire Aztec Empire. So we're talking about thousands of people out on the street doing pláticas, talking, saying what they had done about their transgressions, releasing that energy. And the shaman going around and transmuting that energy.
Wow, that's really lovely. And there are other traditions that have similar holidays. It's fascinating. Does tobacco figure in with the pláticas?
Yes. Tobacco. I personally use. I mean, a lot of curanderos. We use tobacco in different ways. Curanderos. We use tobacco in various different ways. I use tobacco usually in the form of a puro, which is a cigar, like a form of a cigar. It's less tobacco, and I cleanse the person with it after the plática.
That's what I was imagining. Yes. We grow our own tobacco. So, yeah, it's the most beautiful plant in the entire world. So, yeah. No, amazing. And now I know more things that I can be doing with it also, where you roll it up, right? Like, is it several leaves rolled together? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Lovely. Okay. Now, they're limpias. Now, limpias are different than the platicas, or just similar?
So limpias are the big umbrella, right? Limpias, they're shamanic cleanses. At the same time, when we think of shamanic cleanses, and I encourage people to do this, is that it's not just talking about like clearing energy. We're talking about manifesting something. We're talking about rebirthing, growing something, making space for something, changing something, shifting something. It's everything. So a plática is a limpia.
Okay, that makes sense. Great. Now, there's different kind of limpias and fire. Now, I like that one. Excited me. Fire. Yeah. Let's talk about the fire one. Definitely.
Yes.
That's kind of my. I guess I'm a fire sign, or fire is my thing. All that energy, and so
I can tell.
Yeah.
Fire signs, we get along.
Yes. Definitely. Okay, then let's explore fire.
Well, fire. Fire has been used as a way, it's still used. And this is something, all these beliefs, they come from the ancient, and they're still being used to today. That we treat fire, we approach fire as a spirit, right? That it's a conduit, that it's a bridge. It can serve as a bridge. It can serve as a way of divination, to tell us insight about what is going on in a situation, what will happen in a situation. It's also a way fire can be used to cleanse our tools. We can just very gently, we can prepare a fire and offer some flowers, dry flowers, and some dry herbs, and some Epsom salt, or some other gifts, and tobacco as well. And we could just very gently put the tool over the fire to cleanse it, right? And we can also use fire to give our buildings a birthday, to give our house a birthday, or to cleanse our houses, our living space, to cleanse us, to help to bring a situation in. It's so multi-purpose and multivariate in purpose and way to use it. It's such a wonderful gift to us. So yeah, it's I don't know. Would you like something specific about the fire?
No, that's great. I have in my notes transformation and renewal. So the fire is very cleaning. So when someone comes to you, one of your clients, and they come to you, how do you decide? Is it just all intuitive, or because you're so experienced? How do you decide what collection of healing methods you're going to use?
It's a lot of the times intuitive and by practice too. Of course, and also from what I've learned, and it's just a combination of different things, right? Yesterday I had I had a session with a beautiful couple who usually I don't see people together. I see them separately, but this couple, it was both they were together and it was both of their birthdays.
That's unusual.
Yeah, and they just were like, Eric, we really want to see you together. And I was like, okay, so I got them to talk, and one of the things that really came forward was fire. We did a fire ceremony, where we had them, and I explained the purpose of the fire, and it was really beautiful because I had them, offer flowers into the fire, and I felt it was necessary because there were some things that were because they both identified some blocks. So the blocks will help to transmute those blocks, right? That let me know because they both identified blocks because that's what the fire does. It transmutes. You can think of it like, changes something to ash. It changes something to a lighter substance, right? So it's transmuting something, right? So they both mentioned that they were experiencing blocks in personal areas of their life, and that they also mentioned blocks as a couple. So I had them do a fire to state something individually, and then I had them do a fire to do something for themselves of how they saw themselves as a couple and what they wanted to shift and what did they want to grow into. And it was just a beautiful ceremony, because that's usually the indication. So to transmute blocks, to manifest something, there's certain indications of that. And I thought it was just a perfect, beautiful way to have them both involved in the session.
That's a great story. I like that story a lot. Water is a very different energy that a lot of people connect with very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Water is very different from fire. So let's talk about how you use water and the actual nature of water and what its gift is.
So water also purifies, and it purifies us in situations and our items in a very different way, right? Because it's also a carrier of energy too, right? And it also can become that energy of whatever intention that you put into that water, right? As Dr. Emoto showed us with his experiments with water, showing that our intentions, it changes it can change the molecular structure of the water, right? So water, it helps us to go into it's a rebirthing. You can think of it too as like, you look at nature, how we come into, our mother's womb, where we're in this water, in this womb, we're in this water, right? And that's something that also the Mesoamerican did, that after the baby came out of the womb, it was, they bathed us in water. They put water in us, they bathe us. So it's something that it's thought of like a new beginning. When you want something that is new, when you're ready for a new start, it's something that indicates a rebirth as well. So that's and there's subtle nuances, but they're sometimes they're very subtle, but there are some nuances between the elements and what you use. And I usually advise people to do, for example, baños, which are spiritual baths. And that includes working with herbs and working with different items and putting, once they have been brewed, putting the tea of that, the end result of that into a tub, and taking a bath with it, and maybe saying some invocations or some prayers. And I indicate when that needs to happen, when they do need a rebirth. Like, for example, if they've had maybe they've been really stuck in their mind, they've really been stuck with limiting profiles, and they need to shift out of that. So I feel that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just so cleansing and magical. One of the things that you write about and talk about is using the things that you have already. Look around whatever land you have, if you have a small piece or a large piece. I guess I was taught early on, what's in your backyard is just what you need. So let's talk about, what would most people find in their backyard?
Well, one thing that we're on the subject of water.
Yeah.
One of the things that we because that's the thing. It's that the Mesoamerican peoples, that, and still to this day, it's not something that is ancient. Is we're very mindful. We're very mindful. When we go in the shower, we connect with the water. I connect with the water. We thank the water for cleansing us. So it's not just in our backyard, it's like in our house.
Right, right.
In our house is a Limpia every day. It can be a Limpia. You know, it's like when we think about it, like, I know when I get out of the shower, I feel great. I'm like, woo! You know, it's, you know, going in and approaching what you have around you in a very mindful way and not treating it as an inanimate object, like water, that's an inanimate object, but treating it as water has a spirit. Water has many gifts that can cleanse us. And, you know, and I feel that a lot of us too, that society, this Western society, there's a huge majority of people that are depressed and are taking antidepressants because there's, you know, and when a lot of people, they come to me, this disconnection, this depression, one of the things that I encourage them to do is to start connecting with the elements, to start connecting and to start leaving offerings to, and about a month later, they start shifting. Months, you know, I have people that I've been working, they're like, they are now rainbows pouring out of their heart when they were coming to me and they were telling me that they were ready to go.
Right, right.
You know, it's the things that we have, like even weeds, you know, making tinctures with them, dandelions, you know, so many different things, you know, that people think like, oh, that's a weed. What do I need with that? No, it has gifts. It has gifts. It has a clearing gifts. It actually is really good for sore throats too, you know, making tinctures with it as well. You know, it's the elements that we have all around us, the plants, and even in the morning too, the dew that's on the leaves in the morning when we wake up, that is considered holy water by the Maya. You know, it's called eats. It's called magical water. And taking a bath with just a couple of those leaves, taking a bath with them, or like putting them on your face, that is said to bless you and give you great fortune for that day. You know, it's the magic, the beauty, and the love it's all around us. It's just a matter of being able to connect with it and opening up to it and not treating it as like that's a thing.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. I love this because so many of us, well, people like me, we know we need to connect more to bring more joy in our lives, to be more, more ourselves, our true selves. And I love talking about all these things because I have a beautiful garden. There's tobacco growing. There's all these plants. And I'm looking forward to going there this afternoon and regaining that connection that I know that I have, but I ignore. And I think it's really important message that you're sharing. Don't ignore the connection. Keep, feeding that connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's more. Let's see. Sweeping. I think I love that one because I'd never thought of that at all. That idea of making room for when someone knows that they're ready for change and clearing things. I recently cut my hair, which was me making room for that. And we do it, but consciously doing it, it sounds really amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. In our ceremonies, in our Limpia ceremonies, in a session, it's a ceremony, we call them ceremonies, or it's not just a session, it's a ceremony, right? Sweeping the way is done at a time, I do, and that's when I do the Limpia, when I do either with herbs, or if I do with a feather fan or with a cigar, it's all in a sense Limpia because they're all intertwined in that way because it's all clearing the way for something else. It's done at a time when a person says, yes, I am ready for a change. I am ready for something different. So now it's like, sweeping the way for that, making a path for that. So there's an opening for that and things can be more graceful for us.
I love that. Now, sacred spaces, is this about spaces that we live in, or is it more than that?
Well, it's about the spaces we live in. And it can also be used for our altars, creating sacred spaces. It can be used for our offices, our business offices. It's any physical space.
Okay.
Any physical space, and learning how to work with it to leave it with a certain energy signature and honor the spaces that we're living in, because those spaces are involved in our well-being. It's a lot of people come to me when they're coming to me, they have insomnia or they're having problems sleeping. One of the first things I ask them was, when was the last time you cleansed your space? And they look at me, when I first present that, look, they haven't heard of me before, they don't know. They look at me confused. They're like, what do you mean? What is that? Why are you bringing that up? And I'm like, no, really, when's the last time you cleansed your space? And because, they're coming home with that energy, and that energy is still there in their space. It hasn't been cleansed. It has to be cleansed. It has to be cleared out of the way. So it's an understanding that all of our physical space, they also share a soul essence energy with us, and so honoring those spaces and loving those spaces and treating them well so they can take care of us too.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And you make it so accessible. The information so accessible. And I appreciate that. There are so many ways people can work with you. You have a beautiful website, realizeyourbliss.com. Great name. Absolutely beautiful. There are really wonderful online courses that you offer there. There's your beautiful book, Cleansing Rites of Curanderismo. Here it is. And also, I'd like to talk about the retreats that you do with your husband.
The retreats we do. Well, the retreats that we do, they are very transformative. We have different things. We intertwine different things. And they're actually reserved for people that we have worked with, because we really like to encourage a community feel, that everybody already starts getting to know. So it's going in deeper. And we do ceremonies at the sites, and we connect, because every site has a different gift, has a different signature, has a different story. We go, for example, to Chaltún, which is one of the oldest Maya cities, right? And it has a cenote called Cenote Xlaca. This Cenote Xlaca has sacred water. And when, we do ceremonies too, when we're at the space, and we're constantly in ceremony, you're in 24/7 ceremony. So after you just had like all this clearing, you're ready to go in there, and it's sacred water, and you go in there and something happens. You start waking up, like that inner child starts coming out. It's like you're getting a big hug with love. And the Temple of the Dolls that is there, the Maya constructed the building so it could garner the energies of the equinox. And the equinox energies, they're serpent energies. They're solar serpent energies. And there's meaning upon meaning upon meaning with, the whole understanding of what was Kukulkan, what was Quetzalcoatl, because simply it was also a bridge between heaven and earth. The feathered serpent was a bridge, acted as a bridge, and it was also an activation of our DNA. So we're going in there, and we're also activating our DNA as well. We're going in there with that intention of realizing our full potential, who we are. And we also go, and the energy of the buildings there at Sidi Chatun has a real energy of going into the underworld. Because you have the east on the one side with the Temple of the Dolls, and you have at the far west the Cenote Xlaca. The Cenote Xlaca was the underworld. That was understood as like a bridge. It could be a bridge to the underworld, right? So we're going in and we're honoring, of course, the South, the discovery and understanding, and we're going into our own underworld, our inner world. Our what a lot of people what we call shadow aspects, right? And coming in and what I believe is not necessarily tell them like, oh, you're bad, you're going to do this, is trying to approach these things of like understanding ourselves and approaching things with strong love and a discipline and strong love, right? So it's the energies and tapping into this underworld. And we also go to Mayapan, which is it's a smaller version of Chichen Itza, and it's so awesome because we have the whole place to ourselves usually. This last time it was really beautiful. This gentleman was actually doing an engagement, a shamanic ceremony there at the site. So I had a couple of my group like tearing up. They were crying, watching there. It was with the conch. It was really beautiful. And the energy that is also there It's also going in, because we also get to climb up the temple, and we're going up the temple and we're connecting to our ancestors. We go into the observatory there and we connect with our ancestors. And there's also a cenote there to continue going deeper into our underworld and going into the south. So we connect to all of the elements of the building and what the energy stood for. Because the energy is still there. It's still very much alive. And we're using that to go on a journey within ourselves. So and we have people, we do offerings there at the sites, and we also go to Chichen Itza, and that has a strong energy. Has many energies there too, and we really use it to facilitate, to tap into the east, new beginnings. Because there on the equinox, we see the serpent, whether permitted, whether we see it or not, we're getting that energy, right? The Maya constructed so you can see a shadow play of a serpent coming down the stairs of this enormous temple of Kukulkan. The temple, it's called El Castillo too, and it's an enormous temple, and we all go around there and we chant and we're singing and we're playing our battles as the serpent is coming down. We're receiving these energies, and we're focusing too on what are our new beginnings after this amazing journey, this transformative journey, where we've been feeding our body with good organic, really good food. Where are we going to go after we come back with this? And, we also have, because we also do a lot of, I'm telling you all this, there's a lot there.
No, I'm eating up every little bit of it. I love it. It's beautiful. And I know that you recently just came back from one.
Yeah.
So it's like very alive in you right now. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want you to go until we talk about, you have another book coming out. I mean, yes. That is so amazing. So it's a scholarly look, I'm imagining. It's soul retrievals. So what is the title for the new book?
It's Curanderismo, Soul Retrieval.
Okay. And I get to have you back. That comes out next spring of 2019.
Yes, please,
so I would love to have you back. We have had a delightful time talking with curandera and shaman Erika Buenaflor about her new book, Cleansing Rites of Curanderismo. I invite everyone to visit Erika's beautiful website, realizeyourbliss.com, to learn more about her work and her many offerings. Erika, I am hoping that you can share some closing words of wisdom with all of us today.
I would really just love to encourage people to follow their heart. Follow their heart, and to know that discovery of who we are, that's a process. And to be okay with not knowing. To be okay with the process of discovering what we love, who we are, what we enjoy, and how we're going to make it happen. And always be open to the universe surprising us and being open to the ideal.
Oh, that was tremendously beautiful, Erika. Thank you so much for being on Spirit of the Dawn.
Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you.
Deep gratitude to Brian, Zach, and Synergy for the use of their song, Embrace the Change. I thank all of you for joining with us today and invite you to visit spiritofthedawn.com for more inspirational videos. Sending love from my home to yours, I am Pleiadian Emissary of Light, Caroline Rock.